Are you on mute? John, this is Ron. Are you announcing the game tonight?
Actually, unfortunately, these headsets are required. I was going to actually just do the weather chart back here. So, yeah, unfortunately, the audio between all these different platforms, it's all over the place. So these headsets seem to be the most consistent. Yeah, actually, have a conversation and not have it all be broken up or echo.
You look good. I'm just busting your apples.
Oh, I hear you. Exactly.
Ron, is the township usually a little late?
That's a loaded question, but
No trick questions.
I see sometimes they have some issues with the streaming, etc. So, I mean, they could be talking and they could think we're hearing or listening and we're not. So, I was going to give it another minute or two and then sort of try to call the township and find out what's going on here. So,
at what point we did have an image of the meeting room that they went away.
in fact, I'll probably give them. I'll try to give a call now, but I think I only have I think I have only the phone number of Robert Lovenheim. I don't know if I have Jacobs, but let me see.
Which one is done? John, do you know how to use one of those kitten filters?
Say it again?
Do you know how to use a filter on Zoom so you can look like a kitten or some other creature?
It's just only the backgrounds. I don't know how to do any kind of like things on top. So, sometimes the backgrounds we choose like, you know, I don't have them on this. I'm on this version here, but I'll do like an image of the project site from an aerial, so you can kind of see where, you know, it's almost like the weather map we were talking about before, pointing to something on the screen. And yeah, you do whatever you got to do. It's just part of the deal.
That was a
How
great
you
story.
been? Doing okay? I hope. It's been a while.
Yeah, knock on wood. I'm tired of the snow, but other than that, we're hanging in there.
Yes.
Hey, guys.
Yes.
We can hear everything you're saying, please.
Oh, my apology.
Thank you. Getting cranky. My old age. Now, so you had the February 5th letter.
Yes, but you can, I would keep it for history, but
Okay. So move on to
February
10th.
10th letters.
This is the more useful one that goes with this map.
Response to your first review.
Right. All right. Okay. So why don't you take us through it here? What's the problem?
Well, Doug, why don't you take them through it on the plan? It's really just, my overview is there's a subdivision of 3 or 4 small parcels to fix some, to allow for some transfer of small slivers of land, to clean up, in one instance, a mistake, to dedicate a small piece of land to PennDOT, and third, to provide additional area so that an adequate access to the back property line can be facilitated and constructed.
So when you're looking at your map, the yellow lot that's shown there, which is lot 2A,
Right.
when Frank Riccobono sold that back piece to Chelsea back in the day,
Oh, geez, 20-some years ago. A long time ago, okay. Yeah.
it's been a while.
Yeah.
A while, but when that was sold to them, that piece in yellow should have stayed with Frank, but it inadvertently got sold to Chelsea. And now it's owned by DEPG Smithfield. That yellow area is actually the driveway to get access to the car wash.
Oh, wow.
So this subdivision is fixing that issue. So what'll happen is once that's going back into Frank's real estate, there's actually a notation on the plan that one boundary line would disappear. And that's actually shown in an expanded
This
view.
boundary line disappears.
Yes, and there's actually an expanded view of that, so that you don't have to get eye strain.
The dotted line.
Yes,
Yeah.
so you don't have to get eye strain, looking at the plan.
Okay.
All right. The second piece, which is the red, it looks like a double triangle type of thing.
Yeah.
Right now, the driveway that comes in between, the car wash and DQ is a full-service driveway. However, when the full intersection goes in as part of the Smithfield Gateway project, and that area, it's shown as an easement here now. When that gets constructed, the highway occupancy permit that was issued for this spot forces it to change to a right-in only. But to accommodate the curved road going in there, those two little tiny triangular pieces needed to be deeded over to Jim, because there's actually a small square that thought was solving the problem, but it wasn't enough, so we needed to add those two little triangular areas back into there. So that takes care of that piece of real estate.
And that's owned by?
It's owned by Frank,
Okay.
and that would be transferred over to DEPG Smithfield.
All right.
Because DEPG Smithfield actually owns that driveway that's between the car wash and DQ.
Okay.
The third lot that's being created, Lot 2C, which is the green or turquoise, depending on how colorblind you are or how you're looking at that, that is a small piece of real estate, it's about 6 feet wide. That is part of the 209 improvement project. That's additional right-of-way that is required by PennDOT. There used to be a time when it was just a right-of-way that was granted. Now they do everything fee simple.
Who does? PennDOT?
They require that those transfers of real estate be fee simple, which means a lot has to be created.
6 feet, you said?
So it's about 6 feet wide, a couple of 100 feet long. And that, again, there's another expanded view for that, over in that. So that's the third lot that's created. And then just below that lot 2C, there's a small area that's kind of brownish in color.
The one that's 976 square feet, it says?
Yes. That is a permanent drainage easement that will be, in the name of the township, because there's a pipe outlet from there that the township will own as part of the HOP stuff. And the outlet to that, with that easement around it, that allows the township to be able to go in there and maintain that outlet structure and clean it out as necessary or what have you. All of these areas have been, the easement area, the right-of-way area, PennDOT's on board as far as that's concerned, in terms of those sizes. So that's the intent of this whole plan, is to go through, make those transfers, and then, in addition to this subdivision plan, there was a list of multiple that we were requesting for that. A couple of copies.
I think there's copies, if you can locate it, there are copies in your agenda package.
Is it the updated one, John, or is it the?
I think I have it. Wait a second, I thought I did.
Actually,
Yeah.
yes, it's revised February 11, 2021.
All right.
And,
Just to let you know, I'm gonna try to use my own computer with the camera.
all right.
I don't know, how do you want to, discuss the waiver request? And if you just want to read through and glance at it, if somebody has a question, And then I don't know if you address them individually as you go through, or if there's really no questions or concerns about any of them.
Yeah, John, is there anything you would want to highlight or?
No, actually, we've been back and forth, with Gateway regarding, and Doug in particular, and Frank Smith, regarding these waiver requests, and we've got it ironed out, that I am comfortable that what's on their list, on their February 5th letter, revised February 11th, those are what they're requesting. We are okay with it. So whether you want to do them individually or.
Let's take a look here. Am I looking at this right one?
Yes.
Okay.
It's typically, a lot of stuff that we would want.
Yeah.
That's the review letter? Yeah, that's the waiver letter.
It's a lot of stuff that we would want on a land development, if they were
Mhm.
proposing a building, but since there's no building being proposed, we use just small strips, they're not even buildable lots. That's the reason for the waivers. We don't think the information is required.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we recommend, granting the waivers, listed in the February 5th letter of, drafted by, Doug Olmsted.
As amended on, or as revised on February 11th.
Oh, yes, you're right, he does say that.
All right, let me take a quick look. Physical features, outline of survey. Let's say, so. Because it's not really a minor subdivision, but I understand.
Scott, this is Ron Karasak speaking. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
We on Zoom did not get into the meeting until around 7:10. So I have no idea why the Riccobono matter is being discussed because my agenda doesn't have it on.
Yeah, it's on there. It is. It's on the one we have.
Under 6B? Yeah, it's under 6B. It's major subdivision plan. It would really be those two minor subdivision plans that are listed, under 6B.
Okay, I thought that was the Gateway matters.
It's part of Gateway.
It is part of Gateway. It's all relative to their project. It involves transfers of land to and from Riccobono.
Ron, that minor subdivision plan that you had is actually for two separate applicants. It's for Frank Riccobono and for DEPG Smithfield Associates. So that's why it's listed as two separate minor subdivisions. It's really only one plan, but it's actually dual for two separate applicants.
All right, so we're not going to address Phase 1A1 or the major subdivision tonight?
No, we will. We're just.
That's next.
That's next. We're just getting the easy ones out of the way first.
Okay. All right, very good. And one other question, and I'll get off of the microphone here. I've got three planning commission members present. Are there others present by way of Zoom or audio?
We have four of us here.
Okay.
Kurt, Rob, Dave, and me.
Oh, I didn't see Kurt. Okay, it must be
Oh,
my.
he's off on the side here.
There we go. Now I see him. Okay. We're good. All right. Thank you. I'll shut up.
Well, hang tight. We may need you. All right. So we have a motion for Dave recommending granting these waivers. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Seconded by Robert Moses. Do we have any additional discussion? All right. All in favor? Aye. All right, well, okay.
And then as far as the review is concerned, I think the last item that needed to be addressed as far as, John was concerned was the closure report. I did submit one near the end of the day to John along with the revised map that has been distributed here this evening. But I'm going to assume that John, or his people have not had a chance to look at that yet, but I think that was the only outstanding item based on that. And assuming that is the case, and if John agrees with that, we would be asking for a recommendation for approval to move this on to the Board of Supervisors.
Doug, this is Ron again. Do we have a review by the Monroe County Planning Commission?
Yes, we do, sir.
Okay.
Do we need a second review?
No.
No? Okay. John, you all right with it?
Yeah, I am. I would make it subject to my February, if you're going to entertain approval. I would make it subject to my February 10th, review letter, and we will then check the information that we received, which we haven't had a chance to look at yet, and we'll issue a final review. Sure.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Think it's all right? All right. All right, I'll make a motion that we approve it would be the two minor subdivision plans, correct?
One plan, but two applicants.
Two applicants, one plan, two applicants, minor subdivision plan, lands of DEPG, Smithfield Associates LLP, and the other minor subdivision plan, lands of DEPG/Frank Riccobono. Make a motion, that we recommend granting approval subject to, what was that, John?
February 10th.
Subject to the February, 10th letter of, Boucher and James, which obviously was just issued yesterday. All right? That's my motion. Any seconds?
Second.
All right, seconded by Dave Strunk. Any other comments? Discussion? Okay. All right, all in favor? Aye, okay. Now.
I want to thank everyone very much. This was very important to us on our.
Don't thank me yet.
Let's just talk about this one.
Get our issue opinion. Frank, I'm sure is most appreciative because I remember a few years ago when I stood on that lane and Doug said, you own this access to his car wash, and we wanted to make things right and get that squared.
At least you didn't put up concrete barriers, so that's good. All right, so let's go to the major subdivision plan. What are we looking at here? Didn't this just come in?
The major
This would be, Ron, this is item 6B, the first one, major subdivision plan and final land development plan, phase 1.
Got it. Thank you.
Actually, that was submitted, I think, back in December 15th.
It's the first we're seeing it.
It is.
What's our time on this, Ron?
Actually, I think we probably need to make sure that we get your request for an extension on this.
Yeah, because this looks like this is.
Yeah. I have both the major subdivision plan and the land development plan
They were both
being
submitted.
noted as filed on December 18. Now, that's my own calculation from my documents. I don't have any confirmation from the township, but if they were filed on December 18, the 90 days then gets counted from the January 14 Planning Commission meeting, so that both plans would expire on April 14.
All right.
So we don't need to do a review for an extension letter yet.
Not yet. Not yet, because as I can see here, this review letter from John Tressler has 62 bullet points. And
It's actually,
dated this morning.
yeah, there's actually two letters from John.
All right.
There's two letters from the planning commission. Actually, there's four letters from the planning commission, two from their engineer and two from their staff. And the way that breaks down is that there's one for the major subdivision and there's one for the land development plan.
All right. I am going to do this. I'm gonna make a motion that we table this to the March matter, and I'm gonna ask since this is extensive. I'm gonna ask the members of the planning commission, now that we have these items, let's take a look at them before. I mean, this is not something that we can just, go through 60 points just sitting here.
Actually, yeah. We weren't asking that you do that, especially since we don't have the technical review.
Yeah,
We just didn't know if you just wanted a general in terms of what we were.
Yeah, I'd like to see a general.
Yeah, I'd like to see it too. So let's do this. I'll make the formal motion that it get tabled, and everybody, if you would please, on the planning
The reason
commission.
we're tabling is to give them time to respond to the comments?
Yeah, we're gonna table it to the March regular meeting.
Plus, we're also waiting for the technical review.
Yeah.
My understanding is we should receive that probably,
Wasn't that what this letter is? The technical review?
next week.
I think that's what this is.
Yeah.
Isn't the technical review this part?
There's actually two review letters that will come from
Mm-hmm.
John's office, the planning review and technical review. That's my understanding as to how
Right,
John.
What's this one?
This is the planning review. Now, remember, you got two plans in front of you. You've got a subdivision plan that, again, is just simply the transfer of pieces of property to configure phase 1A. So, they did have a subdivision plan before, which.
Several years ago, if I remember right.
Which gave preliminary final plan approval. I don't know if that was recorded or not, though.
No, it wasn't recorded because there were certain conditions that had to be met.
All right.
And there were some changes being made, so, there were some minor changes, to this plan. But really what's happening here is that's taking all the parcels that Jim, had purchased over the years, combining them all together and then re-subdividing them to go along with, the plan that we're putting together as far as Smithfield Gateway is concerned.
Point being, you did go through this once before, you granted approval, but now because their plans have changed with
Mhm.
respect to the development, that changed their lot configuration, so they have to revise their subdivision plan to accommodate their new land development. So that's one of the review letters that's in front of you, for the subdivision only. And then the other review letter that is in front of you is the planning aspect of what they're proposing to do in phase 1A, which Doug is going to describe shortly. And what I will be issuing next week will be the technical review for what's going on in 1A. That's, the pipe sizes, the stormwater, did they get all the spot grades in the right location, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You normally don't like to be bothered with that anyway. You do like to see it complete.
We like to see it complete, as long as it does as it is supposed to with the engineering part. We don't have to get into the nitty-gritty of the engineering.
But I think one copy of the set of the plans for the land development plan is like 86 pages.
Yeah, right, yeah, it's huge. Okay.
So, but the planning aspect, that's why I broke it out. If you,
Yes.
in any areas that you might have concern regarding that, that would be the time to come.
All right, so that'll be, okay. And it will be Thursday, March 11th is the second Thursday in March. That's our regular meeting. All right, so I've made the motion that we do table it. Seconds? Kurt seconds. All in favor? All right. So that's what it'll be. It'll be tabled to the March 11 one, so we can get your final technical review. And I am gonna stress, please, on the planning commission. Homework? We got some homework on this, we gotta look at this, because this is big. So, all right, now, tell us what you're doing.
Right, so I already gave you the bird's eye view of what's going on with the major subdivision. It's joining all the parcels that we bought, and then re-subdividing it based on the plan. The preliminary plan, that was approved at the same time as the subdivision was, back a couple of years ago, that covered the area that's shown on here at the lower portion of this parcel. This final plan that we're submitting is actually focusing on just the area around two buildings. It'll involve the construction of this intersection up to this point, a portion of what we're referring to at this time as Road B, and also Road C. These roads eventually will become township roads, and this, the construction of this will allow, when they're doing the highway improvement project, which is slated to start in July, when it comes time to redo the intersection of Music Center Drive from its current full service to a right in, right out, detour for that work when they close that off will be for them to use Road C, come down here to the new traffic signal that'll be in place, and then they can go whichever direction they want to go. But that provides that detour.
When does the road connect to 447?
In a couple of years. But when we're doing, this, we have to make sure that any extension that we do for this has to be able to stand on its own.
All of this is related to funding. What we're doing right now on phase 1A is $10.5 million. The ultimate cost, and it was just a lot more colossal than everybody thought, close to $18 million altogether.
I was just thinking, when you start doing the other road work, it gives people a place to go to escape it. And when you start doing the rest of the road work from this phase to the other intersection.
Well, and you'll have 2 lanes of traffic at all times, during the construction here, but that's, everybody realizes construction projects are a pain in the neck until they're done, so. And the way that construction is slated to go right now is that'll be in 3 phases. The first phase would be the work on the southbound side of 209. Then we'll do the northbound side, and then the third one will be the top coat for the entire road, plus turning on the intersection. The traffic signal. Because just as we're doing this bypass now, this work to be done, in order for this driveway to be done between Frank Riccobono's businesses, the other side of this intersection, plus this new road that'll be behind where the dirt road is now, behind DQ, that will be reconstructed into a full, regular road, and it will come over and tie into the parking lot, the odd lot property. So that this will be in place before they close this intersection down to make those changes.
Does the odd lot entrance go away, or is that where it is now?
It's where it is right now, but that also had a criteria on the HOP originally submitted for that, and when this intersection goes in, that gets reconstructed to a right in, right out only. Islandberger is switching to one-way in. So that means these 3 full-service spots right now, the odd lot, Islandberger, and Music Center, once the work is done, there will be no cross-traffic movements. Very good. We'll have a traffic signal here. There will be this one that will have a right in, right out, and a left in. It does not have a left out.
What are you putting in there?
For this first phase that we're talking about, we've got a 8,000 square foot medical office building, two-story structure. This location, and then adjacent to it is a 9,000 square foot retail. And we'll have some drive-throughs on it. This is where Dunkin' Donuts will be relocating to this. Yes. Do you have any other tenants that are designed for that right now?
Okay.
Our user is, our focus is on that. There's considerable time pressure for them to deliver this building in a cold shell by November of this year, and opening up in July. Because they have a lease in East Stroudsburg that's coming up, so we're under little time frames to get going and get this. But it will be a tremendous kickoff to the project.
And we also had this more is for business. Just a little bit more of an expanded view of what's going on here.
What's in the other piece? Yeah.
These are based on what was previously shown, that retail area, and there was a bank and a restaurant there, but they're not part of this. They're just based on what was in the previous plan that was submitted a couple of years ago.
Phase 1B parcel. This is the other, we're just gonna start land development plans on this. He's joining 15 acres. I think maybe we've shown some elevation to that.
Yeah, I think this is the one we came in and did a little, excuse the phrase, a little dog and pony show where we talked about the, retail and residential.
It's what the township wanted 6 years ago, but we were hell-bent on building a large supermarket, who of course went to the Straddle Mall. But I think in the end, this is gonna be a much better, higher quality development. And that project is moving ahead.
And obviously, you've seen some construction equipment, sitting in there in the empty lot between the odd lot and the DQ. That's because this large storm pipe is in the process of being installed at this point in time.
It allows the storm drainage for the entire project.
Because we have, because of where we are in the watershed, they don't want you to hold it, release it slowly. They want you to get rid of it as quickly as possible before the rest of the watershed gets down to this location. We're able to do this work because we're working under the existing NPDS permit that we have, plus the preliminary approvals that we have where we can construct at our own risk. But what's happening is we just had a very good meeting with conservation, or a meeting with the Zoom meeting with the Conservation District in DEP earlier today, and we fully expect that by the 1st of May, we'll have that major modification to the NPDS permit.
Quite a construction site. Is a 6 foot by 6 foot diameter pipe that basically starts at 40 feet in the ground. It's just incredible.
40 feet down?
Like that.
Yeah, originally we were gonna be talking about an open cut where the pipe comes across. As it turns out, it was actually less expensive to bore.
You're boring a 6 foot hole underneath the road?
Yes. Very deep.
You'll be able to film movies there where people run through the pipe.
Well, I'm guessing that we will have some news coverage when the boring machine gets here to put that pipe in. It's a pretty large piece of equipment. So that's where we are as far as, as a macro standpoint. We are expecting a pre-final review from PennDOT. We just have one more cycle that we'll have to go through, John, which means in 45 to 60 days, we'll have the HMP for this. The only change that, you know, would be for that is just the finalization of some right-of-ways. We needed some right-of-way from, Frank. DEPG has some right-of-ways, but we also have a permanent easement, that we needed from, all the homes. On their property, we have a permanent slope easement and a permanent drainage easement, and there's also a permanent drainage easement on Ruben's property across the street. And remember, there's a pretty large pipe, I think it's a 4-foot or 54-inch diameter pipe.
Mm-hmm.
E209 at that location, so that also will become township-owned pipe. There's a permanent drainage easement on either side of that that'll be in the name of the township. We have a temporary construction easement that we'll be getting, but not getting, we
Yeah,
have.
have done all of the right of way.
Yeah, we've got everything in, they're just in, legal review with.
So this plan comments, 50, 60 of them there, they all relate to that phase 1A?
Yeah.
There's waiver requests, a lot of it is cleanup plans, because I think when the plans were submitted, a lot of the old notation on the plans. The zoning district has actually changed.
It has.
Since the original plans were in, that generated some comments. The comments aren't as serious as that might sound, but they're there.
No, there's plenty of them.
It's cleanup that has.
All right. Okay.
It certainly wasn't something that we could address in a couple of hours.
All right.
One thing I think is important to mention, we work with PennDOT on our traffic reports. 209, we improved from Main property north up to Classic. We cannot develop any other parcels until we finish 209. So we know that PennDOT, we have 2 grant requests in right now, and we're going to be hell-bent to do the rest of 209. In fact, we actually bought the Gardens building there, thus are sold on. We now own the LTS office building, and we just needed that for a small sliver of property. We needed to have it to get the balance of 209 completed. So this is a project that's been around for 25 years, and we've been at it 6 years. People are starting to believe with the things happening. It's going to gain a lot of momentum going forward. It will really be a gateway property for the township.
And since he is talking about the PennDOT work and as it relates to the overall project, if I could ask your indulgence, the one other item that we're here for is related to a change to the parking ordinance. As part of the HOP permit.
That's under new business, that's 7, part 2.
Right. Under the, one of the conditions of the HOP permit is that the township pass an ordinance that restricts, parking in the area of the proposed improvement. The township already had a portion of 209 where parking was prohibited on the highway. It happened to be a chunk that was in the middle of our work area. So this ordinance that you have before you tonight is to expand that so it runs from 447 up to just north of the Hillside Drive intersection.
I can't believe you could park on it anyway, so.
I know that, that's why, but, yeah, but that was something that PennDOT said had to be done, and.
Okay.
So that's why you have that page and a half proposed ordinance.
All right, well, that's coming up, right, we have that in here. All right, gentlemen, we'll see you back here in March.
We'll be here until you address the ordinance.
Oh. Okay. All right. Next, under plans to act on, what is this Dr. Khan proposed mixed-use sketch? What is this?
That's a sketch that was pretty similar to the one you saw before.
Yeah, it was before, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anyone here.
Anybody here for them?
Yes, Jan
Yes,
Miller
we're-
from Liberty Engineering.
Yassine Khan.
All right. Here it is. All right. So John, this is a sketch plan. What are we supposed to do with this?
Again, you got this late.
I mean, this just came in, didn't it?
My letter just got.
Yeah, yesterday.
It is a sketch. They're looking for feedback from the township. One of the problems that we have at this point in time, is a serious problem, is they're proposing a mixed use, a medical use with residential use, that is going to be that is allowable in the ED
The ED.
district. However, you need to have 25 acres currently.
Which they don't have.
Which they don't have. So, I
Well-
letter could be up there, but I didn't,
Right.
because they're hopeful that there might be an amendment that would change that. And if it does, then they wanted input on what else we had. So that's why you have a complete review here, based on a sketch.
All right.
Mr. Chair, this is Ron speaking. You should know that
Yeah.
I have been instructed to prepare amendments to the Economic Development District, and one of those amendments is to eliminate Section 305, which is the mixed-use 25 acres, and simply moving it over to Section 306, which is the incentivized option. I don't remember if there's a minimum acreage for that, but keep that in mind that 25 acres may go away.
Well, I don't need to keep anything in mind because I only deal with what's in front of me. To be honest with you, Ron, I mean, we don't have. Pardon me here. We don't have an ordinance to review. So anything I'm not terribly interested in doing advisory opinions on this thing. I mean, what you said you were asked to do it. Do you think we're going to have something that we're going to have to look at here come March or April?
I would say maybe April, March may be a little ambitious with the other things on
All
our
right.
plate dealing with the water gap case.
Oh, okay. And being a sketch plan, we aren't under any time pressure, right?
That is correct. There's no time frame.
All right, then I say, I'm going to say then that we move this to April and see if we have anything else completed in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a motion, we table it to April.
I have
Yeah.
a question.
Can I say something?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are we now changing an ordinance to accommodate another applicant? I mean,
No,
what are we doing then? What, if we're gonna eliminate the 25 acres?
I'm not sure what we're doing. I don't have an ordinance in front of me.
No, can I jump in? Sorry, guys, I wasn't here at the beginning. I'm here now.
Who is it?
It's Michael.
Oh, hello, Michael.
Hey, sorry, I actually have COVID right now, so I'm quarantining.
Yeah.
I feel
Okay.
But do I understand properly, Ron, that this is part of the amendments that Robert's been working on this same ordinance?
Yes, and again, it may well be that the 25 acre remains if it's going to be part of the incentivized option. I just don't have that ordinance in front of me, but I know that the amendment is Section 305, which was prepared specifically for the Smithfield project. At least to my understanding, I prepared an amendment where that's completely vacated.
So if you don't mind, Chairman, I mean, just me talking to the applicants, there is a possibility that the township supervisors are going to change that ordinance in a couple of months. And it sounds from our solicitor as though that is one of the proposed changes. So I think what you're about to hear is right now, as is, it's not going to be something that can be passed, but it is possible that in a few months it could be. I mean, I think that's the only feedback that we could possibly give as
Yeah, right. It is a sketch plan anyway. So
Right.
yeah, let's move it to April.
May
then
I
I
say
think-
something?
Mr. Khan wants to speak.
As my conversations has been with township, there has been incentivized zone and there has been consulted zoning ordinance which has been proposed, talking about these 25 acres and other amendments to it. And that's one of the reasons we came with this plan and came in front of you.
Okay.
And this
I'm
is
looking at something from August that is
August
amendment
19th.
zoning. And I'm wondering how far along you all are in amending your zoning.
The ED was amended already. However, there is a requirement that that what you want to do, a mixed use, has to have a 25-acre parcel.
Well,
However-
this says 30,000 square feet, this document I'm looking at from August, and I'm not quite sure who instigated this document, but it's a zoning ordinance review for Smithfield Township, this consolidated Independence Road project, and it says minimum lot area 30,000 square feet.
2.75 of an acre? We'd never do that. I don't
Or
remember.
mixed
hearing that.
use. I don't know what ordinance she's
I
referring
don't
to.
know. Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
But I think this
This is Ron. She is referring to the ED ordinance, but those are the ED uses. The incentivized option use still requires the 25 acres unless and until an amendment
Okay.
occurs. But it does have those 3/4 of an acre lot, so to speak, for those uses.
Does the ED zone though require in both the mixed use and incentivized options 25 acres?
I don't know.
I don't think
the, as
Yeah,
my
that's-
conversations have been with the township supervisors, we did review, went back, and that 25 acres was not part of that, and incentivized.
that's from the ordinance where the ED passed it. I think there was confusion between the two options, even though.
Well, we're gonna have 2 months to figure it out. All right, any second on table on
I
this?
still have my question on the floor here. I don't understand why
Yeah. I don't know why either.
why are we changing the ordinance that we
I don't
just
know.
wrote?
We just did it.
We just wrote the ED ordinance, right?
Right.
David, there's been an amendment that we've been discussing for the last 2 months on, it wasn't directly related to this applicant, but there's a bunch of little mistakes that were in the new ED ordinance that the supervisors are trying to fix, as well as looking at some mapping things. But there isn't yet a full draft of that, so we haven't reviewed it yet. Or we have reviewed a temporary draft, but not the final version.
Right, the only thing that we discussed was mostly well, I mean, I know we talked about, draft map changes, but we didn't go into anything, insane as far as actually amending the zone. It was
No.
just, fixing the parking and a couple of the other, I know there's blanks in the ordinance that are supposed to be filled in and stuff like that. I don't think that there's any proposal for like an overarching change. But I don't know, I think this is me trying to recall back from a few months ago that there was some confusion as to whether or not you needed 25 acres for, mixed use at all in one of the two development options. And that's, I think that stems from, and I remember we all talked about that, but I don't remember.
Well, we didn't do anything. We would have passed something otherwise, but it was just a discussion that, I don't remember exactly how it ended up either.
Right, so, no, there's nothing that's wildly different than before, so now you would just have to look at the language in what's existing and see if that, does it fit under either of the two options, or does it just not fit? Because I don't think the intention is to prevent, mixed use on lots that are less than 25 acres.
We can talk about that, but.
Is there a way that we could get revisions being made, the drafts to the ordinance?
No,
Like
because we don't, don't have anything yet.
Oh,
Don't
I
have
thought,
anything that's been submitted for any kind of review.
Yeah,
I
we
thought
don't have,
Michael said there was a draft.
a
No.
very rough document that was
Oh.
basically just text. There's not an ordinance. It's
Okay.
just concepts that need to be changed.
Okay.
Okay. Then we'll talk about that. I don't know why we're doing it either. I'm with you. I don't know why we're doing it either. All right. Like I said, I made the motion to move it to April. Any seconds?
I'll second.
Kurt seconds it. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. All right. That's what it'll be. We'll get something in between now and then.
Mr. Chair, who was the second on that?
Kurt.
Kurt? Okay.
Yep, thanks. All right, now we gotta go to new business here. Start with the parking one, 7-2. Consider and act draft ordinance regarding parking. This is the parking along 209.
That is correct, sir.
Where'd it go here? We gotta pull it out. All right, John, this has been reviewed, right? Yeah, the county commission, okay. All this does is ban the parking on the sides of the road, right?
That's correct.
That's it. Okay.
From 447 to Hillside Drive. You should notice there before was, because the ordinance talks about what it was and you know,
Okay.
what we're looking for now.
All right. Anybody have anything on this? Michael, anything? I don't
No.
see a problem. As I said before, I'm surprised anybody, you could park there to begin with. I don't know how long you'd last.
Is this the only place that we're restricting parking? Is just this one little bit that we restricted on the entire 209?
It was, the other parts are done already.
Oh, they are? Okay, so
I
it's
bet this
separate.
is the piece that was somehow not.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
That's interesting. Make a motion, we recommend approval of this ordinance.
Second. Okay. All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Aye.
our recommendation passes. Thank you, Michael. All right, unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Kurt. All right. Okay. We have another ordinance in here, right? The zoning hearing board membership?
Yeah, from 5 to 3.
February 4th is stated. Yeah. All right. If we're in the meeting, when we have the supervisors here, why don't you tell the whole board why it is you want to do this before I give my thoughts?
Well, it's difficult to even get 5 people to, you know, been this way for, you know, quite some time. We now, you know, only have enough to have 3 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the thinking to also prevent, you know, issues with quorum and whatnot.
To have a quorum, doesn't it have to be like a majority of the people that are on? So if you go down to 3, wouldn't you have to have 2 as a quorum?
Yeah.
I would think.
Right.
Right.
I think 2 would be easier to get than 3.
But by the way, you don't actually technically need majority for quorum. Quorum is defined however you want it to be, but usually it would be.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to say, because I said it to Jake before, I'm not going to say anything I didn't say before. I am not a fan of reducing the size of any public participation body. I know it can be tough to find volunteers and so forth. That only means that, you know, maybe we got to beat the bushes a little more. I'm not inclined to shrink the size of it, because when things restrict, they never go the other direction generally. They never expand back when there are other people. And so I got to be honest with you, I'm not in favor of this.
Second that. I'm not in favor of it either. I think we should have more township residents involved so everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Reducing it, I don't think it's a good idea. I understand that puts a burden on the supervisors to find people, but,
We currently have a full board.
Are you, what is the full board? I'm sorry, I don't have the draft ordinance in front of me. The full board is supposed to be how many?
Five, Michael.
5. So that means right now you have to have all 3 of the current members attending.
Correct.
I have to say, I'm gonna make a motion that we would not recommend shrinking the board, not recommend this ordinance. I'd rather try to find more people.
Bob, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I agree with, I'll just say for myself, I agree with Jacob, the problem is finding people.
I know.
And I've been through this now for 5 years. I've done it, not only this board, but Parks Commission, it's endless, Open Space Committee, no one wants to do anything.
Yeah, but the zoning hearing board's a quasi judicial function. They deal with, I know, that's the one where if you're looking for volunteers, that's the one you gotta focus your efforts on.
I don't know where to find them.
We'll have to put out the call, and that's just how it's gonna have to be. And we'll put it out through we can even put it out through the various social media ones. I mean, look, I know you guys have your page, I know you have your other one, but there's the Smithfield and Middle Smithfield Township page that, that can be run, and I know, just throw it out there, hey, is anybody interested? You're just gonna have to work to try to find it up, and of course we'll keep our eyes and ears open, but the 3 things that township is gonna have, it's gotta have supervisor, gotta have a planning commission, it's gotta have a zoning hearing board. It's the only way it functions under the municipal planning code. So, I mean, I know shrinking it is the seemingly easier option, but I'd rather not go there.
What if you knock it down to 3, and you still have the problem of 2 of them don't show up? So you got 5 now, and you can't.
I actually have had that problem.
Yeah, so they have
in
one
Portland.
guy that's making the decisions.
In the borough of Portland, where I'm the zoning hearing board solicitor for years. Not that we have many meetings. We've had 1 in 8 years, but before, no, seriously, it's tiny borough. And we had a problem actually that way where an applicant showed up, we had to have a hearing, and it was a 3-person board. 1 moved away and 1 died. And I was stuck with 1 guy. I'm like, here's the deal, people. We're either gonna go ahead with this, and I'm gonna ask that you do a waiver, to sort of, as a way around it, and kind of say, look, we know we're supposed to have more, but if you want this to go through and go ahead, would you be okay with it if it's just, the 1 person? And they actually were okay because they wanted to move it ahead. But I mean, it was the only thing I could think of to skin the cat at the time, because yes, they have a problem too. It's just a little place. And in the meantime, they did find another person, and so now we're up to 2 down there that we just had our meeting with, which was enough. And for that size of a borough, 3 is probably okay. It's probably only 500, 600, 700 people at most. But we're a township. What do we have? 10,000 people probably?
7,500.
7,500. I mean, we should have 5. We should be able to find at least 4. We have 3. We should be able to put another one somewhere.
There was 1 interested, and we were willing to, look at having an alternate. But I mean,
So let's put the one on and do what you can. Does it? This I don't know, Jake. Do they meet at a set time, or is it an ad hoc basis?
It's usually an ad hoc basis.
Okay,
They technically do have a regular monthly meeting.
But not if there's no special exception or variance request.
Right. I will also say, and out of deference, I don't want to name the person interested because he may well end up on the board.
Mm-hmm.
But and I say this with all due respect to this room, we don't want another committee of older white people. I think that
I think you get what you get. and work on it from there.
So I get what you're saying, but I'm also saying we need to have more diversity in this township.
You need to have 5, and then we'll worry about diversity. To be honest with you, it's, start with getting people who wish to participate, and then you work on it from there, because that's obviously the problem, is we need people to participate.
No,
I'm not trying to be a smart ass, I'm just saying, there are slots that have to be filled.
I
And so-
understand that. That wasn't my reason for proceeding with Bree, but it's one consideration in regards to this, you know, the township as a whole. It needs to represent, you know, the community. I'll say that.
You have a second?
All right. I think I made a motion. Did we vote on it?
No, we did not.
We didn't have a motion.
All right.
And you need a second yet, Mr. Chair.
Need a second. Okay, that's where we're.
Second.
Second is Dave. All right.
Before we vote,
Aye.
can I ask a question? Was there
Sure.
any option of instead keeping it at 5 but making a quorum be 2? I know effectively that means that they can function right now. It's not ideal, but if it means they're not able to have any of these meetings because one person's constantly missing, it allows you to start to work towards getting your 5 people in place.
Ron?
That's set by the MPC. I don't think they have the option.
Do you have any idea on that? That's a good, interesting question. Any
This
thoughts
is
on
Ron,
that?
this is Ron speaking. I think that Michael may be right that you can make the quorum whatever you want to make it, but I just believe that generally what we have been doing, at least in our areas, have been the majority of the members being the quorum.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how 2 out of the 5 would work, but could try it. I mean, once it gets challenged, then we'll know whether or not that would fly or not.
Okay.
Well, we'll look.
Take a look.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be crazy about reducing the quorum, but we'll look.
Well, you're doing it anyway. In effect, you'd be reducing the quorum if you shrunk it to 3.
Sure.
The quorum would be 2.
Well, yeah.
It just gives you flexibility, and I mean, it also means that you can have reason you try to avoid it is because you sort of want the same people voting on things. What can end up happening is you can have a next meeting where 2 different people come and they vote something completely differently. That's usually why you avoid it. But if the reality is you only have 4 members, it's not really, or 3 members right now. I guess my only reason for saying that is if you're in a situation where you literally can't carry out business until you find someone, I can totally appreciate how it can be really, really hard. And if there's no, if we can't find that person and there's key zoning meetings and decisions that have to be made, I mean, that's a bigger problem. That's my only thought, but that's all I wanted to say before we vote.
Okay. Well, maybe look at that for next time, as a sort of halfway option. Maybe that'd be better. All right. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Michael?
I'm a nay.
Okay. Michael's a nay. 4-1. Okay. Anything else on today's agenda?
Mr. Chair, this is Ron speaking again. Sorry to bother you, but
Yep.
I was not able to hear anything with respect to number 6A, the Jones and Zaplinski plan. What happened with that?
There was a request by their planning professional that it be tabled to March, and that was approved.
And they also granted a 90-day extension,
Yes.
Ron.
All right, that was my concern because I have it blowing out on March 2nd. So if they granted the 90 days, okay. And who was the planning professional there, John or Scott? Do you remember?
George Fetch, I believe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Where'd it go? George Fetch, Jr., yes.
Okay. Okay.
And it says in here, and it says directly in here, Ron, that on behalf of my clients, I'm requesting to table my plans and grant a 90-day time extension, so I have enough time to address the comments from the township engineer.
All right, very good. I don't have that letter yet, but it might be in my emails. I don't know. I've got
Okay.
a ton of them here, but I tried to sort them before the meeting. All right, so that's an email or a letter you have there, Mr. Chair?
It is, it looks like a letter,
Okay,
but and it was probably attached. Yeah, it looks like it was attached to an email from February 11 here, from earlier this morning.
okay. Very good. Thank you.
And yeah, it was sent to Lois and to John. Yeah, I don't see any of us on here. Yeah, so it was sent to Lois and John. So it's in the township materials here somewhere. Okay. All right, everybody. Anything else? Make a motion. We adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Rob. Excuse me. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.